She adopted her husband's twin daughters from his mistress and gave them all her love. 17 years later, this is how they repaid her kindness. Evie Miller stood in her kitchen, savoring her morning tea. The house was quiet, except for the soft hum of the refrigerator, and sunlight streamed through the windows. Life was simple and predictable. She had been married to Grant for 9 years, and though their union wasn't perfect, Evie believed they were happy. But her thoughts were interrupted by the sudden ringing of the phone, shattering the morning silence. "Evie Miller?" came a voice on the other end, making her heart clench. "Yes, this is she answered, her fingers trembling as she gripped the receiver. "I'm very sorry, but I have bad news. Your husband, Grant, was in a car accident this morning. He didn't survive." Evie's world collapsed. It felt as if the ground beneath her disappeared, and her heart pounded wildly. "What? That's impossible. He was just—" She couldn't finish the sentence. "There's more," the voice continued hesitantly. "Grant wasn't alone. A woman was in the car with him. She also died. We identified her. She was his mistress. And we've also discovered that they had twin daughters. They're 4 years old." Evie gripped the phone so tightly that her knuckles turned white. Her head spun, and the room seemed to swirl around her. Grant had been living a double life. He hadn't just left her. He had betrayed her, keeping a secret family. Her legs gave way, and she sank into a kitchen chair. The teacup slipped from her grasp, shattering on the floor. Tears blurred her vision as she tried to process what she had just heard. How could this happen? The man she loved, the man she built a life with, had hidden such a devastating truth. The voice on the other end of the line faded as Evie sat there, broken and lost. Eventually, she hung up and stared at the shattered pieces of her cup. She remained in that chair for 3 hours, replaying everything in her mind. Grant was gone. He had a mistress. He had twin daughters. How had she not seen the signs? How had she missed something so huge? The betrayal hurt more than the loss itself. And now she had to piece together the remnants of the life she once believed was strong and stable. The days after Grant's death passed in a blur. She handled funeral arrangements, accepted condolences, but it all felt like a dream. The shock of his death was heavy, but knowing about his secret life tormented her even more. But there was no time to dwell on her pain. Other matters needed attention. The 4-year-old twins, Linda and Amanda, had lost both parents overnight. Too young to fully grasp the tragedy, they were innocent in all of this. And despite everything, Evie couldn't feel anything but compassion for them. The moment she saw their frightened, grief-stricken faces, something inside her shifted. They needed someone. At the funeral, Evie watched them cling to each other, lost and alone. They didn't understand the complexities of adult relationships, secrets, betrayal. All they knew was that their parents were gone and their world had crumbled. Standing by Grant's grave, Evie felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. She knew raising Linda and Amanda wouldn't be easy, but she couldn't abandon them. No one else could give them the stability they desperately needed. And so, pushing past her own heartbreak, she made a decision. She would raise them as her own. Her friends and family were shocked when she announced her choice. "They're not even your children," they argued. "Are you sure you want to take this on? It's too much." But Evie stood firm. The girls had no one else, and she refused to let them suffer for their father's mistakes. After the funeral, Linda and Amanda moved in with Evie. At first, life together was awkward and strange. The girls were withdrawn, each dealing with their grief in her own way. Linda was more open, constantly asking questions about their father. Amanda, on the other hand, became quiet and preferred to be alone. Evie understood that it would take time to adjust. The house felt both fuller and emptier with them there. Every day, she forced herself to keep her emotions in check. On one hand, she was still grappling with the pain of Grant's betrayal. On the other, she was determined to give Linda and Amanda the best life she could. She woke up early every morning, made them breakfast, and ensured they had everything they needed for school. She took extra shifts at work to cover their expenses, never once complaining. Over time, the girls grew attached to Evie. Despite their grief, they felt safe with her. She became their rock, the only constant in their world. Linda, the older and more outgoing of the two, admired Evie's strength and kindness. She often followed her around, helping with chores just to be near her. Amanda, though quieter, found her own ways to show love, drawing pictures for Evie and leaving little notes of gratitude. Evie's friends watched with admiration as she handled this new life with grace, but they had no idea how many sleepless nights she endured, questioning if she was doing enough. Would the girls ever see her as their real mother? As the years passed, Evie's life became a delicate balancing act. Raising Linda and Amanda brought both joy and challenges. Finances were always tight. She worked late nights, juggling multiple jobs, cleaning offices, tutoring kids, and working in a local cafe, just to make ends meet. Her body ached with exhaustion, and a full night's sleep felt like a luxury. But she never let the girls see her struggles. Every morning, she woke them with a smile, packed their lunches, and sent them off to school. She was determined to give them a normal childhood, even if it meant sacrificing her own dreams. Since her youth, Evie had dreamed of opening her own cafe. Cooking was her passion, and she had always envisioned a cozy little place where she could share her love for food with others. But after Grant's betrayal and the responsibility of raising Linda and Amanda, that dream had to wait indefinitely. Meanwhile, the girls grew into bright and talented young women. Linda had a knack for numbers and aspired to become an accountant. Amanda, the creative one, was always drawing and dreaming up new ideas. Evie supported them wholeheartedly, never letting them see how much she had given up for their future. As teenagers, Linda and Amanda began asking questions about their father. They barely remembered him, and they knew little about his life or the accident. Evie never spoke ill of Grant in front of them. Despite his betrayal, she didn't want to destroy their image of him. But as the girls grew older, they became more curious. One evening at dinner, Linda finally asked the question Evie had long feared. "Mom, what was our dad like?" Hearing them call her mom always warmed Evie's heart. She froze, unsure how to answer. "He was, a man with his struggles," she said carefully. "He loved you both very much, but he made mistakes." Linda frowned. "What kind of mistakes?" Amanda, silent until now, looked up with interest. Evie sighed, realizing the truth could no longer be avoided. "Your father had another relationship, a secret one. That's how you two came into this world. At the time, he was married to me, and we didn't know about each other. I only found out after the accident." Silence filled the room. The girls stared at her, absorbing the shocking revelation. "So, you're not our real mom?" Amanda asked quietly, her voice trembling. Evie's heart clenched. She reached across the table and took their hands. "I may not have given birth to you, but I am your mother in every way that matters. I love you as my own. That will never change." The days following this conversation were tense. The girls struggled to process the truth in their own ways. Linda, always rational, tried to reconcile the father she barely remembered with the man she now knew. Amanda withdrew, making it difficult for Evie to understand her thoughts. A week later, Linda approached Evie in the kitchen. "Mom," she said softly, "at first I was angry, not at you, but at him, for lying to all of us. And then finally she added, but I know one thing for sure. You are our real mother. The more I think about it, the clearer it becomes. You are truly important. You have always been with us, loving us as if we were your own children. I want you to know that we will always be here for you. You're our mom no matter what." Evie's eyes filled with tears as she turned to Linda. She had held back her emotions for so long, trying to stay strong for the girls, but these words were a true comfort to her. She hugged Linda tightly and tears streamed down her cheeks. "I love you so much," Evie whispered. "I always have, and always will." Amanda, who had been standing in the doorway, watching, slowly walked over and joined the embrace. "We love you too, Mom," she said softly. In that moment, all the tension melted away, and a deep sense of peace settled over them. The girls realized that family isn't just about blood ties. It's about love, care, and the sacrifices Evie had made for them. Life slowly returned to normal, but the bond between Evie and the girls grew even stronger. Linda and Amanda continued to excel in their studies, their interests and talents becoming clearer as they prepared for adulthood. Linda was drawn to numbers and began studying accounting, while Amanda, with her creative nature, decided to pursue interior design. Meanwhile, Evie continued working tirelessly, often staying late. She had put her dream of opening a cafe on hold to take care of the girls. Though she loved cooking, her responsibilities as a guardian left little room for personal ambitions. Cooking had always been a source of comfort for her, and whenever she had the chance, she would still experiment with new recipes in the kitchen. Sometimes Linda and Amanda would join her, and though these moments brought Evie immense joy, what she loved most was seeing the happiness on their faces when they tried something new. She dreamed of sharing that joy with others in her own cafe, but harsh reality weighed on her. Money was always tight, and any extra funds went toward the girls' education. Evie often pushed her own desires aside, convincing herself that the twins' success was all she needed. One evening at dinner, Amanda brought up the topic of dreams. "Mom," she began, "if you could do anything, what would it be?" Evie smiled, surprised by the question. "Oh, that's easy. I've always dreamed of opening my own cafe. A small, cozy place where people could enjoy homemade meals. But it's just a dream." Linda and Amanda exchanged a glance. Evie noticed it but didn't think much of it. She had long accepted that her role was to be a caretaker, not a dreamer. She had no idea that Linda and Amanda were now seriously thinking about making her dream a reality. By this time, the girls were in their 20s, independent and successful. Linda had just landed a job at a well-known accounting firm, while Amanda had started working at an interior design company. Despite their busy lives, they never forgot the sacrifices Evie had made for them. They often talked about how they could repay her, and now they had the perfect idea, one that could finally bring her lifelong dream to life. "She deserves this," Linda said one evening as they sat together, making plans. "She gave up everything for us. It's time we do something for her." Amanda nodded in agreement. "We have enough savings, and with my design skills and your financial expertise, I think we can pull this off." The girls started planning in secret, searching for the perfect location and working out the logistics. Linda took charge of the financial side, carefully budgeting and ensuring everything was in place. Meanwhile, Amanda focused on the cafe's design, sketching layouts and thinking of ways to create a warm atmosphere that would reflect Evie's love for cooking. Evie had no idea what was happening. She was too busy with work and home responsibilities, completely unaware that her life was about to change. Linda and Amanda spent weeks searching for the perfect cafe space. They wanted something close to home, cozy, and inviting. After countless visits, they finally found it. A charming little building on a quiet street nearby. It had beautiful brick walls and large windows that let in plenty of natural light. "This is perfect," Amanda said, standing outside with Linda, imagining what it could become. "Mom is going to love it." Linda smiled. "Let's make it happen." They quickly made an offer, and thanks to Linda's financial skills, they were able to secure a great deal. With the location set, the real work began. Amanda threw herself into designing the interior, making sure every detail reflected Evie's personality and passion. She chose warm, inviting colors for the walls, comfortable furniture, and an open kitchen so guests could watch the cooking process, a symbol of Evie's love for her craft. Meanwhile, Linda handled the legal paperwork, hired staff, and put together a menu based on Evie's favorite recipes. The sisters poured their hearts into every aspect of the cafe. They wanted it to be more than just a business. They wanted it to be a tribute to Evie's love, care, and sacrifices. Finally, the grand opening day arrived. Linda and Amanda had carefully kept everything a secret, planning every detail. They told Evie they were taking her out for a special dinner, but she had no idea where they were going. As they pulled up to the beautifully restored building, Evie looked around, puzzled. "What is this place?" she asked, reading the new sign above the entrance. Linda smiled at her, her eyes shining with excitement. "Come inside, Mom. We have a surprise for you." Evie followed them in, and the moment she stepped through the door, emotions overwhelmed her. The space was warm and inviting, filled with the delicious aroma of freshly prepared dishes. A small group of friends and family stood inside, smiling at her. "What is this?" she asked, her voice trembling. Amanda stepped forward proudly. Mom, this is your cafe. Evie looked at her in shock, tears welling in her eyes. My cafe? She whispered. Linda nodded. You've done so much for us, and we wanted to give something back. This was your dream, and we made it come true. Tears streamed down Evie's face as she took in the beautiful space. It was everything she had ever imagined, and more. I don't know what to say, she whispered, her voice full of emotion. This is the most incredible gift I've ever received. Thank you. Thank you both so much. The sisters hugged her, feeling overwhelming gratitude in return. This was their way of showing Evie that her sacrifices had never gone unnoticed. The opening night was a huge success. The cafe was filled with laughter, warmth, and the delicious scent of homemade food. Evie, wearing her chef's apron, stood behind the counter, watching her dream come to life. Linda and Amanda were right beside her, helping manage the cafe and making sure everything ran smoothly. People fell in love with Evie's cooking. Every dish was made with love, and customers could taste it in every bite. Evie greeted guests, checked on the kitchen, and quickly formed a close bond with her staff, who soon became like family. Months passed, and the cafe flourished. Word spread quickly about the cozy little place with the best homemade food in town. Evie had finally found her true calling, and the sisters continued to support her, helping expand the business. Over time, the cafe became more than just a business. It became a family legacy. When Evie grew older, she knew the time would come to pass it down. One evening, as they sat together after a long day at the cafe, she finally spoke. I've been thinking about the future of our cafe, Evie said. I won't be able to run it forever, and I want to be sure it stays in our family. Linda and Amanda exchanged knowing looks. They had been expecting this conversation. We'll take care of it, Mom, Linda said with a smile. You created something amazing, and we'll make sure it continues to thrive. Amanda nodded. We'll carry on your legacy, Mom. This cafe will always be part of our family. And so Evie gradually stepped back, letting Linda and Amanda take over. Under their leadership, the cafe continued to grow, becoming a beloved part of the community. Looking back, Evie knew her dream had come true in the deepest way. She had wanted a cafe, but what she gained was something even more precious, a family built on love, sacrifice, and resilience. As she sat in her favorite corner, watching the joy and laughter that filled the cafe, she smiled. She had given Linda and Amanda all her love, and in return she had received more than she had ever imagined. Thank you for listening to this story. Leave a comment and let us know what you think. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you next time.